It started like every other road trip: energy drinks, late-night music, and the kind of road that stretches out so far you forget it even has an end. I was heading west, no real destination, just driving to clear my head. After my dad passed, I felt like I was choking in my own life. My job, my apartment, my friends, it all felt like a cage. So I packed a bag, left a note, and hit the highway in my beat-up '07 Honda Civic. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed to go. The road through Nebraska was dead quiet. Flatlands rolled endlessly. Even the sky felt tired. That was when I saw the sign. It looked old, wooden, cracked, barely hanging on one nail, but I swear it hadn't been there a second earlier. Greater than, Highway 13 to 2 miles. I blinked. Highway 13, that wasn't on my GPS. I tapped the screen. Nothing. I checked the physical map I had stuffed in the glove box just in case. Nothing there either. I should have taken the hint and kept driving, but something pulled me. A weird curiosity, like when you're walking through the woods and see a trail that isn't marked on any map. 2 miles later, there it was. No grand entry, no flashing lights. Just a faded turnoff from the main road. A cracked, asphalt path that stretched into the horizon. I took it. The second I turned onto Highway 13, everything changed. The hum of the engine grew louder, like it was echoing. The air felt heavier, thick with something I couldn't name. Trees lined the road, even though this part of Nebraska was supposed to be flatland. The sun vanished behind a wall of gray clouds that hadn't been there a minute ago. Still, I kept going. Maybe it was the grief. Maybe it was madness. But I felt like I was supposed to be here. After about 10 miles, I saw a woman on the side of the road. She was standing perfectly still, wearing a long coat and holding a faded leather suitcase. Her hair was jet black, and her skin looked almost pale blue, like someone who'd spent too much time in the cold. I slowed down. She didn't wave, didn't smile, just stared at me as I rolled the window down. "You okay?" I asked. She tilted her head. Her voice was flat. "Are you going to the end?" "What end?" She looked down the road. "The end of 13. I glanced down the highway. It just kept going. No signs, no turns, just that same cracked line stretching into forever." Sure," I said, even though I wasn't sure at all. She nodded, opened the door, and got in like it was already decided. We drove in silence for a while. I glanced at her occasionally. She didn't speak, didn't move, just stared straight ahead with that old suitcase clutched to her chest like it held something irreplaceable. Her fingers were pale and thin, like frost-covered twigs. I thought she might have been crying. Her eyes glistened, but no tears ever fell. "You got a name?" I finally asked, trying to cut the tension. "Clara," she said without turning. Her voice was a whisper, but I heard it clearly over the hum of the tires on that cracked asphalt. "I'm Ethan," I said. "Where are you headed?" "To the end," she repeated. "Same as you." I gave a short, nervous laugh. Still not sure what that means. She looked at me for the first time since getting in. "You will." Then she turned back toward the road, and I felt that chill again. The kind that sinks into your bones and makes you second-guess every decision that led you to this moment. It wasn't long before I noticed the signs. Not road signs. Those had stopped appearing miles ago, but other things. Odd things. The first was the billboard. It stood crooked on the side of the road, rusted and broken, the paint peeling from years of neglect. It showed a little boy holding a balloon. The words were faded, but I could just make out. "Greater than, remember what you lost." I slowed down without meaning to. Was that always there? I asked Clara. She didn't answer. Just gripped the suitcase tighter. I kept going. Then the second sign. Not a billboard this time, but an old, rusty gas station. There were no pumps, no windows, just the shell of a building with a single light flickering inside, even though the power lines had long since collapsed. In the doorway stood a man in overalls, smoking a cigarette that never burned down. He waved at me slowly. I didn't stop. Good, Clara whispered. Dash. After another hour, I realized the sun hadn't moved. It just hung there, muted and gray behind those thick clouds, like the world was stuck in the same hour forever. My gas tank hadn't changed either. It stayed at half full, no matter how far we drove. That's when the radio came on. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't even turned it on. But the static shifted into a voice. A woman's voice. Familiar. Ethan, it said softly. My heart stopped. I knew that voice. It was my mom's. She died when I was 16. Clara turned to look at me, face expressionless. Don't answer it. The voice again. Ethan, you left something behind. The radio crackled. You left me behind. I reached for the dial. Clara grabbed my hand. Don't, she said, her voice hard now. It's not real. Not anymore. I didn't know what to do. My whole body wanted to pull over, to scream into the static, to ask how this was even possible. Instead, I kept driving. We didn't speak after that. The road grew narrower, the trees leaned in closer, like they were watching us pass. At some point, fog rolled in, thick, white, and unnatural. It didn't float or move with the breeze. It just hung there, like breath that wouldn't leave the air. What is this place? I finally asked. Clara shifted in her seat, the first real movement since she'd warned me about the radio. Highway 13 shows itself to those who carry weight they haven't faced. It's not a place on the map, it's a reckoning. I frowned. You mean like a metaphorical journey? No. She looked at me. It's real. You made a choice, and now you're on the road to remember it. I didn't choose anything, I snapped. Clara didn't argue. She just stared ahead again and whispered, they all say that at first. After what felt like another hour, or maybe 5 minutes, time didn't make sense anymore, I saw something in the fog. A car crashed into a tree off the shoulder. The front was caved in, glass shattered. Smoke curled up like the wreck had just happened, though it clearly hadn't. The rust on the hood was years old. I slowed down. Something about the car felt familiar. And then I saw the bumper sticker. It was my high school. A chill ran through my veins. I hit the brakes and stepped out. Clara didn't follow. The car, it was familiar. Because I'd been in it before. 6 years ago, senior year, a graduation night party. Me, 2 friends, too many drinks. I told everyone I was okay to drive. I wasn't. We never made it to the party. I swerved off the road into a tree. One friend died on impact. The other broke his spine. I walked away with a broken arm and a deal with the cops to keep it sealed. I stood frozen in front of the wreck as fog curled around my legs. You forgot this, a voice said behind me. I turned. It wasn't Clara. It was him, Jacob, the friend who'd died. He looked exactly like he did that night, 20 years old, red hoodie, blood still drying on his forehead. You said you'd come back, he whispered. But you didn't. I stumbled backward. This couldn't be happening. I hadn't even thought about that night in years. I'd buried it deep. You promised you'd remember me, he said, stepping closer. I backed into the car, feeling its cold metal against my spine. This isn't real. Neither is guilt, Jacob said. But it still rots you. Clara appeared beside me, suitcase still in hand. He's not here to hurt you, she said calmly. He just wants to be remembered. My voice trembled. I didn't mean for him to die. No one ever does, she answered. But here on Highway 13, meaning doesn't matter. Truth does. The fog thickened, swallowing Jacob whole. The wreck was gone. Just the road again. I got back in the car and slammed the door shut. As we pulled away, Clara finally opened her suitcase. I glanced sideways and nearly ran off the road. Inside wasn't clothes or belongings. It was full of photographs. Dozens, maybe hundreds. All black and white, all worn and creased at the edges. Each one was of someone different. I saw children, elderly people, teenagers, soldiers, nurses, men in prison jumpsuits, women in wedding dresses. Every one of them stared directly at the camera, eyes full of pain, fear, or guilt. Who are they? I whispered. People I've ridden with, Clara said softly. They didn't make it to the end. My mouth went dry. So this is like purgatory. She shook her head. Purgatory ends. This doesn't. Unless you face what you came here to face. I didn't speak for a while. The road stretched endlessly ahead, but it never felt like we were getting anywhere. The fog had thinned just enough to see 5 feet ahead, just enough to feel safe, but not enough to be. Clara put the photos back into the suitcase, like she was burying them again. Where are we going? I asked finally. To your second turn, she said. I didn't like the sound of that. We passed a house. Just sitting there in the middle of nothing, no driveway, no mailboxes. The front porch light was on. A dog barked once, then silence. The curtains twitched in the window like someone had been watching us pass. I gripped the wheel tighter. It was my house. Not the one I lived in now. The one I grew up in. The one my dad died in. I floored the gas pedal. But it didn't work like a normal car. The road didn't let me speed past. The house stayed in view longer than it should have, like we were trapped in a loop. Clara didn't say anything this time. And then the house was gone. The next sign was a road marker. But instead of a number or city name, it just said, greater than, next exit, regret. I looked at Clara. Cute. She didn't smile. Soon, we came upon a man sitting in the middle of the road. He wasn't blocking it, just sitting cross-legged, calm. Wearing a suit too large for his thin frame. His face looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. I slowed down and rolled the window down. He looked up. His eyes were hollow, gray, like stones pulled from a riverbed. You lied to her, he said. I blinked. What? You told her you'd come back. You didn't. My throat tightened. Who? The one who waited. The air turned colder. High school, Clara murmured. You remember now, don't you? And I did. Her name was Mel. My first real love. My first real promise. I said I'd stay. We'd go to college together. I swore I wouldn't run like my father ran on us. But when I got the scholarship, out of state, I left. I never called. Blocked her number. I thought if I never looked back, it wouldn't hurt. But it did. For both of us. She never left town, the man said. She waited. And waited. And when the cancer came, she still waited. I closed the window. I couldn't breathe. Later, Clara finally spoke. You think forgetting protects you. But memory is a debt. And what happens if I remember too late? I asked. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The road changed again. The asphalt cracked open like veins, glowing faintly red underneath. The trees were gone, replaced by rows of crosses. Not graves. Just crosses. As far as the eye could see. Each one had a name. Each one was someone I'd wronged. Some were small things, broken friendships, lies, betrayals. Others were heavier. I stopped reading the names. I drove slower now, not because I wanted to, the road demanded it. The silence between me and Clara was different. Not empty, heavy, like she was waiting for me to break. And I did. What happens if I don't stop? I asked. She looked out her window. Then you keep driving. Forever. No. She turned her head. Until you forget who you are. That hit deeper than I expected. Up ahead, the fog parted just enough to show a sign. A crooked, rusted green road sign dangling from one screw. It read, "Greater than, final exit, turn back or go through." Which is it? I asked. What am I supposed to do? Clara gave me a tired look. You already know. The car began to rattle. The pavement cracked beneath us, the glow now pulsing, like a heartbeat under the road. And in the middle of the next stretch stood a mirror. Tall, ornate, gold-framed, sitting upright in the middle of the highway like it had been planted there by fate itself. I stopped. The mirror didn't reflect the car. Or Clara. It only reflected me. I got out. The air around the mirror was colder than ice, like it was leaching something from the world. Or from me. I looked into it, and saw myself. Not how I looked now. But how I was. Drunk, angry, crying in the bathroom at age 19 after the crash. Yelling at my mother at 16. Stealing money from my best friend's locker at 14. Kissing someone else while Mel slept beside me at 21. Lying to my boss. Dodging a funeral. Walking away from my brother's overdose. Every moment I pretended didn't matter stared back at me, alive, breathing, judging. And behind me, in the reflection, I saw Clara. But she wasn't Clara. She was deathly pale. Her eyes were black, her mouth sewn shut by invisible threads. She didn't blink. I turned around. She stood still. But her form flickered. Not like a ghost. Like a memory glitching. Who are you? I whispered. Her voice came out layered. A chorus of voices. Young, old, male, female. Greater than, I'm the one who rides with the guilty. Greater than, I'm the weight in your chest. Greater than, I'm the debt collector. I stepped back. Why me? Greater than, because you ran. Greater than, and because you still can. The mirror cracked. Not from me. From inside. Like it was breaking from the weight of what it held. Shards scattered across the road, each piece showing a different version of me, older, sicker, alone, forgotten. Clara, or whatever she was, stepped beside me. Greater than, one road leads back to your world. But you won't be the same. Greater than, the other road leads where memory ends. I looked down. There were now two roads ahead. One dark, narrow, winding up into a sunrise. The other wide, smooth, descending into endless fog. What happens if I go forward? Greater than, you remember. Greater than, you change. Greater than, but you hurt. And if I go back? Greater than, you forget. Greater than, you stay numb. Greater than, but nothing gets better. I closed my eyes, and stepped forward, onto the narrow road. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Because behind me, Highway 13 began to fade, and Clara's voice echoed once more in the wind. Greater than, most don't choose the hard way. But the ones who do. Greater than, finally arrive. The end.